The year is 1995. A new gaming division within Japanese company Tecmo has just been created. Formed by sunglasses-toting, cigarette-smoking Tomonobu Itagaki, their name would go on to be forever etched in the annals of the gaming industry, their impact on the lives of millions as substantial as their own drive to break the spirits of every gamer who encountered their work. They are Team Ninja. 2004, Itagaki and his team released their first foray into the 3D action game space, with their revival of a classic series given a fresh coat of paint and a new pair of shades to boot. Ninja Gaiden. The game would resonate with countless gamers due to its brutally challenging and often masochistic design. 2021. The Ninja Gaiden Master Collection is finally released, comprising the re-released versions of the 3 games that make up one of the finest action trilogies in all of gaming. So, to celebrate 2025 being the year of the ninja, I thought there'd be no better way to kick things off than by taking a closer look at the Ninja Gaiden Master Collection and discovering what it truly means to be a Master Ninja. So, join me as I dive headfirst into the dark, dangerous world of Ninja Gaiden Sigma. In the mountains of autumn, there is one who walks the path of the ninja. His name is Ryu Hayabusa, a young warrior with incredible potential. What started off as a regular day of rigorous training would go on to become so much more. As Ryu rushes toward his burning village, the screams of his clan echoing in his heart, he comes face to face with the man responsible, Doku. Thus begins a tale of vengeance for the fallen, one rife with evil and soaked in blood spilled in the name of honor and duty. Our dragon ninja's first big adventure, and the genesis of one of the greatest action heroes ever created. Legends have to start somewhere, and this is his beginning. When it comes to video game protagonists, few are as steely-eyed and stoic as our very own Ryu Hayabusa, our master ninja hero and heir to the Hayabusa ninja clan. A man of few words, he wastes no time in achieving his objective and accomplishing his mission. Eyes straight ahead, focus, no distractions. It wouldn't be a stretch to say that he's an inspiring character to many people, myself included, wielding the strength of 100 warriors, cutting through adversity without hesitation, never faltering for a second. The past doesn't matter, nor the future, only the here and now. In classic ninja fashion, he is of course clad in black, a leather battlesuit that provides a unique, contemporary take on the traditional ninja aesthetic, complete with his iconic flowing scarf that would go on to become a signature visual motif of the Dragon Ninja, along with his piercing green eyes. Accompanying our hero on his journey is Rachel, the Fiend Hunter, a mysterious blonde beauty with incredible strength and resolve. She works well as the game's female companion, her charm further emphasized by her voluptuous personality. Her design is very much rooted in the early 2000s, a time when game developers had more freedom to simply create what they wanted to. People's sensibilities be damned. Team Ninja have always had a knack for creating beautiful female characters, an aspect of their games that I greatly appreciate. As Rachel makes her first appearance, we're immediately aware that she's no ordinary lady, as she mightily swings her hefty hammer, taking off the head of a fiend as if it were nothing. You wouldn't be alone if you had no idea that Sigma is 17 years old, For a game as old as it is, it certainly doesn't look the part. Combining solid art direction with creative character designs and thematically cohesive environments, Sigma could easily be mistaken for a recently released game. It has a clear, sharp look to it that hasn't aged at all, and the variety of the environments that you'll explore is rather impressive. From a secluded ninja village in the Japanese mountains of autumn, to a Middle Eastern town as equal parts traditional as it is eerie, and underground catacombs filled with fossils and ancient relics, you'll always have something interesting to look at as you carve your way through this perilous journey. The starting level in particular is a standout. The vibrant colors on display, from the greens and oranges of the beautiful trees around you to the muted brown and beige of the dojo further into the fortress. Every artistic choice made when creating the stage feels like it was made with intention and a clear vision. Watching over you throughout your first set of deadly encounters is the majestic Mount Fuji, an iconic landmark used to excellent effect here, in order to highlight one of Team Ninja's core development philosophies: the contrast between beauty and violence. He never would have been able to survive in this world anyway, the game tells us, as we interact with the corpse of the fellow ninja that Ryu cuts down as he makes his first bloody appearance. It's a cruel, cold world, and perfectly reflects the discipline and willpower that Ryu Hayabusa must retain in order to effectively carry out his duty of being a ninja. Each drop of blood and severed limb set against a backdrop of beauty. In my humble opinion, any action game worth its salt needs an awesome soundtrack to go along with it, and Sigma has one of the most eclectic OSTs you could hope to find in an action game. From the tense, traditional soundscape of the opening level's ninja fortress, to the anxious, stealthy sound of the city of Tyron, to the energetic and fun guitar riffs of a heavily armed military supply base. You can be sure that you'll always have an interesting track playing. The music not only adds to the atmosphere and feel of each area of the game, but it also pushes you forward during combat, with tracks such as Sudden Threat, God Bless You, Revival of the Dead, and Alma Awakened. To name a few, supporting you as you slice your way through your opposition. And the slicing itself sounds rather satisfying as well. Each weapon not only has a distinct feel, but also a distinct sound that helps it stand out. The dragon sword and dual katana sound just as you'd expect, slashes and stabs all present and accounted for. The lunar staff whooping through the air as Ryu spins it gracefully around in a deadly dance of death. The Vigurian flail, with its rapid strikes and light weight, directly contrasting the Dabilaro, feeling as heavy as it looks, its heft wielded no less gracefully by the Dragon Ninja as it slams to the ground with a metallic thud. High-quality sound design can make all the difference when it comes to immersing the player in a game's world, and the sound team at Team Ninja nailed it. The same, of course, can be said for Why does one fight? Duty, responsibility, vengeance, the pursuit of strength greater still? What goes through the mind of a disciplined warrior as he cuts through adversity? A ninja must be in complete control of his emotions, unburdened by regret, unyielding to temptation. For Ryu Hayabusa, the mission comes before all else, even his own life, and when in the heat of battle, confronting not only one's adversaries but oneself, the culmination of controlled breathing and immense physical and mental exertion results in the battle cry. Not merely a noise that a warrior makes as he fights, not simply an avenue for one's pride and honor to be showcased on the battlefield, but a unification and release of one's internal energy, an expression of the soul, one brought to life with unrivaled power and brutality by legendary voice actor Hideyuki Hori, who imbues Ryu with an immense sense of strength and confidence. For a warrior as stoic as Ryu, we get to understand who he is and what he stands for, not by what he says, but what he does. Actions, after all, speak louder than words, every grunt an indication of his unwavering belief in his own ability, every shout a reflection of the iron will that propels him forward. This is what it means to be a ninja. One particular aspect of Sigma's design that remains unique to this first entry in the trilogy is the game's light emphasis on exploration. The level design is a lot more open and interconnected, and it's the only game in the trilogy that features an in-game map that you can access in order to help you navigate your surroundings. You may find yourself reaching the end of a new area, only to return to an area you'd previously been in earlier in the game. Should you choose to explore a little bit off the main path, you'll find healing items, ranged weapon ammunition, and a few other things as well, such as small golden scarabs hidden throughout each of the levels, often in cleverly concealed and sometimes hard to reach spots. These will earn you certain rewards each time you trade 5 of them with Old Man Muramasa, the in-game shopkeep, so exploring is certainly rewarded. Make no mistake, this isn't an exploration-focused game, however. At its core, it still prioritizes the action above all else. You'll ultimately make your way from point A to B through each of the levels, with combat encounters in between and some light backtracking. After all, the path of a shinobi isn't always a straight road. If the Ninja Gaiden series is known for one thing, it is known for its difficulty. In the words of Itagaki himself, in other games, you kill the enemies. In Ninja Gaiden, the enemies kill you. He was right. Ninja Gaiden enemies are aggressive and unrelenting, designed to push you to your limits not only as a gamer, but as a person. They're out for blood. They attack with speed, and they force you to engage with 2 of the game's most important combat pillars, movement and spacing. Very rarely will you find yourself standing still in a Ninja Gaiden game. The enemy aggression demands that you redirect the flow of battle in your favor. You have a basic dodge roll with which to evade enemy attacks, but when combined with a jump immediately afterwards, you'll be swiftly hurtling around the battlefield, weaving in and out of enemy range with the alacrity expected of a ninja. You still have to be careful, however, as your enemies can just as easily hit you out of the air mid-jump, necessitating that you pay attention to the space between you and them, and analyze the right time to reposition, instead of simply spamming the roll jump. Standing still equates to a quick and easy death. In tandem with this principle, incorporating traversal attacks into your combat flow will be vital. performing a strong attack from a wall run jump will result in a useful downward slash, a move which also gives you iframes, along with a moment to breathe. This move can also be performed from a neutral jump if need be. Just be careful not to get knocked out of the air. When you find yourself surrounded by enemies, take to the skies and deliver a swift reckoning. Another useful and well-known move at your disposal is the Flying Swallow, which sees Ryu leap toward an enemy at high speed with the intention of cutting off their head. Not only is it a brilliantly animated move, but it also allows you to quickly close the gap between you and the enemy. Beware of the recovery frames at the end of the move, as they could easily result in you taking an unwanted hit. Spamming will get you nowhere, and deciding on when to use this powerful technique can make all the difference in a heated battle. The Flying Swallow will only trigger, however, if you're within range of the enemy. Perform the move when the distance between you and them is too great, and you'll perform a downward slash instead, which also has recovery frames. Failure to accurately assess the battlefield and reposition when necessary will be punished accordingly. Should you wish to instead force your enemies to get away from you, then perhaps the guillotine throw may serve you well. This move sees Ryu jump towards an enemy while grabbing a hold of their neck and hurling them forward with immense force. It's another handy iframe move, and will need to be timed well in order to successfully pull it off. It's activated by pressing both X and square after jumping into close range with an enemy. Mistime the button press, however, and you may find yourself accidentally performing a regular square light attack in mid-air, leaving you open to attack. Correctly execute the move, and you'll be rewarded. Not only does the move do a decent amount of damage, but it also leaves your enemy open to further attack once they hit the ground. One of my favorite techniques is to chain the guillotine throw into a guaranteed Flying Swallow, and if the enemy still isn't dead, I may follow it up with perhaps the most iconic move in the series, the Izuna Drop. It sees Ryu launch his enemy into the air before following up with a series of quick slashes and finishing it off by grabbing his opponent and sucking him into a vortex that spirals straight into the ground. It's an ingeniously designed move, as equal parts creative as it is bone-crunchingly brutal. A hurricane of hurt from which your enemies cannot escape. If an opponent is to meet his end by your hand, then let it be swift and true. But mind the recovery frames once you've landed back on your feet. Part of what defines a shinobi is the ability to adapt quickly to any given situation. Should you attack, then strike true. Should you receive an attack, then stand firm and guard. One of the core tenets of the Ninja Gaiden combat equation, as well as Team Ninja's general combat philosophy, is the adaptive switching between attacking and defending. Offense and defense are in a constant state of flux. Exclusively attacking is a quick way to receive immense damage. Since most of your attack animations can't be cancelled out of, you'll need to make sure you're ready to commit to a combo before you initiate it. Some attacks can actually be cancelled with a well-timed shuriken toss, however, and knowing when to apply shuriken cancels will prove invaluable during combat. Shurikens can also stun lesser opponents, providing a brief moment for continued attack. Paying attention to each enemy's moveset and familiarizing yourself with their attack strings is essential, especially when it comes to the boss fights. Likewise, exclusively defending will get you nowhere fast, as you can only withstand a certain number of enemy attacks before your guard gets broken. Guard too often, and enemies also have the ability to grab you out of your guard and force you to engage with them. On the battlefield, a coward's end is met with speed and precision. There is no mercy for the weak or the unwilling. A useful technique you'll come to learn is the counterattack. Immediately after blocking an enemy attack, follow up with either a light or strong attack of your own to perform a riposte. Mastering this technique will allow you to turn the tides of battle in your favor, regaining control of the battlefield, and seamlessly transitioning from defending to attacking. Incredible feats become achievable when a warrior centers himself and reaffirms his sense of balance. In fact, the realm of magic may not be outside the grasp of man, should one concentrate one's spiritual energy. The art of ninpo is one well known to many a ninja. Utilizing this ancient magic during battle will provide one with even more ways to decimate one's foes. You'll come to unlock different ninpo techniques as the game progresses, each with their own uses and flair. They can't be used indefinitely, however, so you'll need to take care not to needlessly expend your resources. May the power of your ancestors course through you as you annihilate evil in the name of good. Another of these feats allows you to perform a flashy and highly damaging charge attack, dubbed the ultimate technique. By holding down the strong attack button, you'll begin charging up this powerful and deadly move. It can be charged up to 2 levels, with a level 2 charge dealing more damage. Whilst the time taken to charge it up can be quite lengthy, the process can be sped up by essence charging. Once an enemy has been killed, an orb of light called essence will be left in their wake. This can then be absorbed, and will have different effects based on what type of essence it is. Yellow essence acts as the in-game currency, allowing you to purchase items and upgrade your weapons at Muramasa's shops. Blue essence will replenish your health, and red essence will replenish one use of ninpo. Should you choose not to absorb the essence, you may instead use it to rapidly charge your ultimate technique, by simply holding down the strong attack button when in range of an essence orb. One orb of yellow essence will charge your UT by 1 level, but either a blue or red orb will fully charge your UT. Holding the block button when near an essence orb will prevent you from absorbing it, allowing you to reposition and perform an on-landing UT charge, which instantly charges up your UT if you hold the strong attack button immediately after landing from a jump. In the heat of battle, deciding whether to absorb essence in order to replenish your health or ninpo, or use it to charge up a handy UT, may mean the difference between life and death. This emphasis on adaptive thinking and on-the-fly decision-making is part of what creates such a compelling dynamic during combat. But never forget about the importance of spacing, lest you whiff a fully charged UT by unleashing it when out of range of an enemy. Now, what of Rachel? As the secondary playable character of the game, she has 3 chapters dedicated to fleshing out her story and introducing us to a slightly different playstyle. She moves a little slower than Ryu and isn't quite as mobile. Her signature weapon, the Warhammer, hits like a tank, with reduced speed. The same combat fundamentals of movement and spacing apply to Rachel's gameplay, and I found myself relying more on counterattacks with her than I did with Ryu, especially during the exclusive boss fight that she receives during her second chapter. Her playstyle may take a little getting used to, but once it clicks, she's no less satisfying to wield or fun to master than the Dragon Ninja himself. And their journey together would mark the start of a strong bond, forged through shared struggle. As much as Sigma may be designed to push you to your limits, the game does allow for new players to enter the fray and cut their teeth on the signature razor-sharp action of Ninja Gaiden. The Hero Mode difficulty serves as an adequate way for players who may be new to action games to experience the game and learn the mechanics, although with a significantly reduced level of challenge that won't quite get you to play the way Team Ninja wants you to play. I would recommend that players new to the series start on normal difficulty. It'll be just challenging enough to push you in all the right ways and get you to interact with the game's mechanics, but not overly challenging to the point where you'll be throwing your hands up in dismay after just a few hours. After this, we have hard difficulty, and this is where things get interesting. From hard onwards, each difficulty will start integrating some of the more elite enemy types into combat encounters much earlier in your playthrough, as well as introducing a few brand new enemy types as well. You'll be pushed to not only play well, but to play well consistently. Boss fights will also start to introduce standard enemies along with the bosses themselves, and I found it interesting how this changed the dynamic of the fights. I typically ended up luring the enemies out, further into the arena and away from the boss, so I'd be able to first take them out and then focus on the big bad. I still had to pay close attention to where they were and what they were doing as I initiated this tactic, of course, as many lesser warriors have failed to pay attention to their surroundings, and instead paid the price. I could then make use of the essence dropped by the 2 henchmen to either replenish a portion of my health in a pinch, or go in for an on-landing UT. All of these changes make the game a lot more interesting to play through on the higher difficulties, and I'm glad that Team Ninja took this path with regards to the difficulty balancing, instead of simply raising enemy HP and damage output and calling it a day. The skills you've been developing over your past playthroughs with the game will be put to the test, culminating in the ultimate test, Master Ninja. When I initially started playing the game and finished my first playthrough on normal, I never would have thought that I'd be able to come anywhere close to hard difficulty, let alone Master Ninja. After all, I barely got through normal. There's no way I'd be able to survive a challenge greater than that. Well, 93 hours later, and I had officially joined the coveted ranks of the Master Ninja, a feat that had previously seemed too arduous to even attempt. Yet, through patience, perseverance, and sheer stubbornness, I did it. I simply refused to let the game break me. I wasn't going to let Team Ninja win. No, I would prove to both them and myself that I had what it took all along. All I needed was to dig deep, breathe, and focus. A sharp sword in the hands of a fool may slice fish, but it will never win a battle. A blunt knife in the hands of a honed warrior may win wars. When I first got the idea to do this review, I didn't know whether I'd actually be able to pull it off. Although I stood firm and held the course, I did also have my doubts. With a series as iconic and highly regarded as this, now made by my favorite developer no less, would I really be able to do it justice? This would also be my first ever game review after all. An intimidating task, but one ultimately worthy of taking on. A ninja must be able to endure the deadliest challenges. Ever since its debut in arcades in 1988, the Ninja Gaiden series has stood out and stood the test of time as one of the industry's most challenging and rewarding IPs, presenting players with an opportunity to not only overcome the myriad challenges within, but to overcome themselves as well. So, let us all seek greater strength together. Be strong, be brave, and face adversity head-on, with courage and confidence in your own purpose. That is the way of the warrior.